Hi there.
Hello, Michelle and Micah. We're gonna give it a couple minutes here. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hey,
We got Amanda and Ben and myself here, so glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Ben, are you working on a bike right now?
Oh yeah, maybe I should I pivot my computer like I did last time?
I kind of liked watching you this morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ben was working on a bike during our lunchtime session, and it was really fun to just like see him moving around in the background.
Yeah, I went and had a meeting between then and now, so I haven't made any progress beyond what I did this morning.
Oh, it's the same one.
It's the same one.
What's
So
this like do you have a person for this bike right now?
I think so. I think this is a guy that's if the size is right, this will be a guy that's coming into the program through the Salvation Army. Let's see, what is his name? I can't remember the guy who works at the Salvation Army, but Jordan from Mole Hill uh got some repairs that they brought in, and Jordan's like, you shouldn't fix those bikes. Just, for what you need, just get a hold of Ben. So
He
anyway,
mentioned that on our meeting on Monday.
yeah, so this is actually a
Yeah,
bike that Jordan donated
that's
and
awesome.
and a referral that Jordan sort of kind of made. So
Oh, that's great.
on the way back from Bridgewater the other day, after helping Noor with his flat tire, I stopped at Mole Hill and loaded up the pickup with bikes from Jordan.
Oh, great.
So, Michelle and Micah, just so maybe you know, maybe you don't. I see that you all have at least I know you've gotten some Western Slope Trail passes from us before, but Ben's doing our Bikes for Neighbors program, getting bikes out to people for transportation.
oh, nice. Um,
So, yeah.
And we'll chat about it too, but he has a really awesome workshop where he's able to take bikes that are donated and then make sure they're all set and ready to go with a helmet, lock, lights, bike racks. So a lot of people use them to get to work or get to the grocery store as their main source of transportation, and then takes them around on the bike and shows them the area, helps them make sure they get to work. And as you can tell, he's really skilled at what he does.
This guy works at the McDonald's on Carlton Street, so
Mm,
Very cool. We've done some volunteer work, um, putting kind of fixing bikes that were going to
oh,
be
cool.
donated. Even though I don't know how to do anything, I basically just replaced the tires because that was the extent of my knowledge.
That's great.
Honestly, that's still hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I struggle for 2 hours with fixing a tire.
I had a
Yeah.
volunteer one day. I had a whole stack of bikes that I'd fixed, and you have to test ride everything. And he came over. I think I had 9 bikes in a pile. I was like, you test ride all 9 bikes, you take a picture of it, you record the serial number. You know, it's work that I didn't have to do, but test riding bikes, taking pictures, and writing down serial numbers is not complicated. So there's ways for anyone to plug in if they really want to, right?
where do
Michelle,
you
who
where do
did
you do that
you
out of?
do that with?
There was a
Sorry,
question.
So
go ahead.
I was wondering where you guys fix bikes.
This
We lived in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania before, so it was
Hmm.
Recycle Bicycle, if you're familiar.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think you
familiar. We'll
asked
have to
where
check
Ben
them out.
is. Ben has a workshop where he does all the maintenance for the bikes.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate when Ben joined us in May, and he wrapped up his own business called Wise Cycles, where he was working on bikes by appointment. He'd go to people's homes, or people would bring them to him. and now he's transitioned everything over to working on bikes for this program. So he's got a basement bike shop in his adjacent house.
No, very nice.
And we did, we're going to do another one. We did a cool open house a couple weeks ago where we set up some times for folks to stop by and hang out with Ben in his shop and see what it was all about and chat with him about the program. And we're really getting up and running and trying to figure out how to like make it sustainable, make it work. And we'll talk about the program, but we'll get started here. Thomas, thanks for joining us. I know
Hey, Thomas.
a couple other folks said for sure they were joining, but it might take them a few minutes. So we'll get started. Definitely appreciate y'all being here. And what we're doing is just a little preview of what we're going to do for our annual potluck, which is next Wednesday. And we'd still love for y'all to come, but understand if you can't make it. So that's going to be at 6 o'clock, right, Amanda, at the Friendly City event space in downtown Harrisonburg. So cool. Well, we'll get started. We'll run through this quick. We'd love to answer any questions and talk more with y'all since it's a small group. And like I said, I think a few people will join us. So I love that Amanda started with this one. She can speak to this a little bit, but this was one of the most exciting events that we added this year, a women's mountain bike day on Massillon Western Slope. So I'm going to jump into it. So I'm Kyle. I'm the executive director of the Bike Coalition, and we're going to talk just briefly where we've been, but I think more importantly where we're going. And I think this picture also sums it up. Amanda with a ton of giant bubbles at our camp out at Stokesville. Ben is somewhere in the background, and I'm somewhere as well. So what's our mission? It's to build better communities in the Valley. We use the bike as a tool. We use trails as a tool. We use walking as a tool. We have a bunch of tools. We think the bike is particularly special because it is super fun, joyful, and a great way to connect people and change our communities for the better. So top pictures, doing some work at Sunset Park in Waynesboro. The bottom picture is an ice cream ride here in Harrisonburg. And our vision is about creating a world where people can choose to walk and bike as part of their daily life. It's about human connection, and it's to connect people to each other and to place. So again, the bike and trails are a great tool, and we work across from national forest work to in-town work. So we think about trails as kind of connecting some of those pieces together. Like I said, I'm Kyle. This is Amanda. She's our director of community enchantment. Ben is running our Bikes for Neighbors program. And we just added Ben and Amanda last year. So it's been really exciting to go from a team of 1 to a team of 3. And the coalition has been around in some form for over 40 years, but we started with full-time staff back in 2018. So we're still in relatively new territory of having folks doing this work full-time to help supplement all of our volunteers who do great stuff. We got a great board, always looking for people to join the board. Tilda Pendleton has been our board chair for a long time now. She's coming off the board, but we're going to have a lot of our board members at the potluck. Love for you to all come out and meet them. So some numbers, like I said, we've been here for over 40 years. The Shenandoah Valley Bicycle Club, which is a precursor, started in 1983. And then the Mountain Bike Club started in 1996, and the two were joined in 2007 to create the coalition. We've done a lot of new trails. Sunset Park in Waynesboro is a really exciting one as of late. Narrowback trails in the National Forest. We're going to be working on Seven Bend State Park, Hillendale, Massillon Western Slope, a lot of trails. And those are all the dirt trails, but we think about the greenways, paved trails as well that are super important. So far that's been mostly Harrisonburg, but we're working hard for other communities. We'll speak to that. We have a strong volunteer base, lots of volunteer hours last year and growing. And then Bikes for Neighbors, which we're going to talk about as well. That program's been around for a while. It's just been run by volunteers. So we've distributed well over 100 bikes. Last year, we had an explosion of events thanks to our community engagement, community enchantment role, I guess, from Amanda. And we have a good history of securing grants to help make all this work possible, especially building trails. I'll let Amanda take it over.
Help if I get off mute. All right, so yeah, I'll dive into a little bit to our biggest focus areas and where we have the most impact. We like to think of it under these 3 buckets of the trails on public lands, advocacy work, and community engagement. Carol, you can go to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit more about trails and public lands. So we had these big projects last year. Sunset Park in Waynesboro open, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Coming up this year, we're going to be breaking ground in Woodstock at Seven Bend State Park. It'll be really great to have some new trails there a little bit north in the valley. Like Kyle said, we've had a lot of work central to Harrisonburg and the surrounding areas, and it'll be great to have more of a footprint higher north. And then Hillendale Park, that's in Harrisonburg, got trail improvements this year, and there was a new trail added to the side. That was great. In the past couple of years, we've done a lot of work in the National Forest on Narrowback, as well as the Timber and Wolf Ridge trails. There was a bridge that was added and conservation trail work done on those trails. But also, like Kyle said, trails aren't only in the woods. We also do a lot for advocating for bike lanes, sidewalks, greenways, all about making transportation more accessible. And so in the past few years, we've seen the Friendly City Trail come to life. Last year, the North End Greenway was expanded. And Kyle will talk a little bit more about the Shenandoah Rail Trail too. All of these are about connecting trails and routes to make the quality of life better in the valley. Sunset Park, this one gets its own slide. Last year, we opened the first mile trail at Sunset Park, and Sunset Park was previously a landfill, and it was turned into an area where now in the first month, over 12,000 visitors came to explore just the 1 mile of trail. And in this year, we're going to be adding 3 more miles of trail. We got this through a federal grant, and this was incredible to bring trails opportunities close to home for folks in Waynesboro. They can walk there from their house. It's a really short drive. And this is a picture of one of the sunsets looking out over Waynesboro. It is absolutely stunning. If you haven't had the chance to go there, I would highly recommend it. Next slide. Advocacy is another huge part of our work. This photo I love because it's a photo from Bike to School Day that we do during Bike Month. And joy is often the greatest form of advocacy. If you hadn't had a chance to come to one of our ice cream rides, Thomas was able to come to the one in Stanton. We did one in Stanton, we did one in Waynesboro, and we did one in a few in Harrisonburg last year. But I'm really excited to bring these back and having these critical mass rides where a bunch of people are getting together, they're on the streets, they're having fun. It shows that like streets are for bikes and for walking. This is one way that we continue to advocate for it, but also just having Connect Our Schools, which is about prioritizing people getting on to school on trail, and also reducing barriers for active transportation is another big one. This photo right here with the kids doing the crafts is from Joyride. Kyle
Sorry,
alluded to
Amanda,
this
we had
earlier.
a little slide jump. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I was like, maybe he wants me to go ahead a little quicker. I can do that. The community engagement part. So yeah, that photo from Joyride, that was amazing. So in November, for the first time, we hosted a women and girls mountain biking day at the Western Slope. If you're not familiar with the Western Slope, Kyle's going to talk a little bit more about it. It's one of our big trail projects, but it was all about reducing barriers to entry for mountain biking. Since mountain biking is a predominantly male sport, this day was just focused on women and girls, and we offered it for really reduced costs through grants that we received. We did group rides. We had professional mountain bike instructors. Massanutten donated shuttles, so they would drive people up to the top of the mountain, and then people would be able to ride their bikes down. And it was just a fun day where people could do crafts and hang out and gather in community. And that's just one example of the ways that we want to increase access in these outdoor spaces and with the bike. We have programs like Bikes for Neighbors, which Ben's going to talk about. But really, this is just about getting people together and getting people outside enjoying the bike that maybe otherwise wouldn't have thought that this was a place for them to do so. So that's one way. Shenrock Mountain Bike Team is also a great one. And if you go to the next slide, all of this is made possible with the help of volunteers, what we call pixie dust. At the Bike Coalition, we have so many programs, and having over 200 events last year, we realized that for this work to grow throughout the valley, we really lean on folks from the whole region to make it possible. And so like we can't take credit for all this. Like Shenrock, all that happens because of volunteer coaches. And then when we host multiple trail work days, that's a ton of volunteers. Last year we did two at the Western Slope. Over 50 people came out and dug trail on those days. And so having these special teams and these event teams truly bring the magic to so much of the work that we do. And it's so cool to see these people come out for a day like our bike to work day, our bike anywhere day, and then show up for a trail work day, do activities that are so different. And maybe those are first time coming to one, and then seeing that cross pollination and interconnectivity, showing up for other events as volunteers is super cool. And I just wanted to put the plug if there's something that sparks interest and joy for you, and you're excited or have an idea about expanding the work that we're doing, I really want to talk to you about it. And I love collaborating and just seeing where the interest is in the community. I'll pass it over to Ben, who is going to talk some more about Bikes for Neighbors.
Unmute myself here. So that initial picture, that's a gentleman. His name is Bude. He probably got a bike 10 or 15 years ago. He was way on the early end of this when stuff was being done as a volunteer. He became a customer of mine when I had my own business, and we became friends. And I think that's one of the things that's fun about biking, whether you're doing Bikes for Neighbors or whether you're doing Joyride or an ice cream ride, is we all need more friendship. And I've made some great friends through Bikes for Neighbors and the various things that preceded it. So I'm going to talk about three things. I've already sort of hit on one of them, but one is the bike. I'm working on a bike here. It's probably kind of hard to see. I really, having been a bike commuter for the last 30 years, I have a strong opinion about how good a bike has to be to actually serve someone well as their daily transportation. And I'm confident that we're doing the nicest bikes of any nonprofit bike program in the country. And that's because I don't think we should give people who rely on their bikes some like lightly lubed and pumped up tire piece of junk. Like they should get a bike that's going to work well and serve them reliably so they can get to and from work. The gentleman that's going to get this bike works at McDonald's. He lives over in my part of town. So I think his commute will probably be 3 miles one way, which is a reasonable distance to ride your bike, and he doesn't have a car. So the bike is really an important piece. We include light. Amanda maybe mentioned this to some of you, but everyone gets a helmet, lights, lock, a rack on the back to carry things, and a floor pump. And bikes are distributed at the Gift and Thrift, and most times, not always, there's some exceptions, but most times either a volunteer or myself will ride with the person who receives a bike from the Gift and Thrift back to where they live. Sometimes I'll swing by a transit bus stop and show them how to operate the bike rack on the front of the bus, so that they can maybe use the bus in collaboration with biking. So the bike is, a central tool, but the relationship is a big part of it too. You see in this slide, everybody who gets a bike gets their first flat tire fixed for free at any of the local bike shops. But the gentleman there on the right, he lives in Bridgewater. There's no bike shop down there. He got a flat. So I needed to go down to Mole Hill Bikes anyway to pick up some donations. Thank you, Jordan. This came from him. And so I went down to Mole Hill, and then I went down to Bridgewater, and I taught this guy how to fix his own flat tire since there's no bike shop in Bridgewater. And that follow-up is fun. It's fun to meet people again and talk to them and hear a little bit of their story. The gentleman on the left is a recent arrival. He's a father. He has 3 kids a little younger than my kids. His wife and he just located here nearby in my neighborhood, actually. And he works down in Bridgewater and doesn't have a car. So he got a very nice bike. And I think because he lives in the neighborhood, I'll continue to check in on him too. So the bike is great. The relationships are fun. And then the other piece of the relationship that we do is much of the referrals come in through relationships with various agencies and nonprofits. So as a coalition, we've put a lot of effort into getting to know whether it's the school system or the CSB or churches that are helping people or nonprofits, having institution like collaborative relationships with other nonprofits allows them to know the service that we provide, and we can work together to make our community a little bit better of a place. So that's in a nutshell. At the end, I think anyone can ask questions. I'm going to mute myself again.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'll wrap it up real quick here. So, big changes for us this past year. Like I said, was hiring 2 new staff folks, Ben and Amanda. A lot more events, and then looking to resource all this great work between grants and our raffle we did last year, our trail passes on the Western Slope, and all that fuels building trails, getting more infrastructure on the ground, and getting folks outdoors. So I do want to touch on the Shenandoah Rail Trail really quickly, because it is, we believe, the singular most important project we could be working on right now. So this would be a nearly 50-mile trail from Front Royal to Broadway. And it's on a piece of railroad track that is no longer used. The state of Virginia has $35 million set aside to purchase that corridor and start the process. We've had some hurdles and hiccups, but we have been working with the 3 counties and 9 towns and some other partners to keep pushing this project forward. So it will connect communities. It will create great, recreational opportunities, economic development opportunities. And we're waiting to see, hopefully, an upcoming VDOT study, and we'll let everyone know how to be involved. But this is there's no better project for getting people walking and biking in the valley than a safe, protected, separated from traffic, paved path right through all these communities. And hopefully one day down to Harrisonburg, and who knows from there, maybe to Stanton, maybe up to Waynesboro. Massillon Western Slope. So this is a big part of what we've historically done. We have a 20-year partnership with Massillon Resort to provide access to the Western Slope. If you've ever gotten a trail pass for the Western Slope, we've kept all those proceeds and we've been able to put those back into the trail. So we've been building trails out there for 2 decades, and we're on the cusp of releasing our new trail plan. The past year has been a planning process. We had a community survey and been reaching out and doing a lot of work to map out the future of the Western Slope. And so why are we doing a trails plan? We really want to welcome new people there. We want to make sure it's an accessible, welcoming experience. We want to grow our partnerships with Massanutten and with other folks, getting more people out there. And we're prepping for a pretty major expansion out there. So there's about 30 miles now and close to 2,000 acres. We're going to probably be looking to build another 20 miles and another 2,000 acres. So very exciting stuff. We're going to wrap around the mountain, kind of towards Spotswood High School, maybe to Rockingham Park. A lot of great opportunities. And we have an event March 20th in downtown Harrisonburg at the Liberty Street Loft, where we're going to launch that plan to the world. We got a little documentary about the Western Slope, and just to celebrate this really amazing partnership that's made this trail system accessible to the public, and yet 15 minutes from downtown Harrisonburg. So you should join us. There's always challenges and lessons learned. I'm just gonna say I love this picture. This is the trail we built on Narrowback in the National Forest, and I think creating accessible trails, that part is rocky because there's some water that runs through there. The rest of the trail is very smooth, but we're building trails that get a wide range of folks out in the woods, and that's the goal. So we know biking is hard. There's barriers. Bikes for Neighbors helping with that. Trails help with that. But we're really excited about the momentum we're building and the community that we're building, the volunteerism and the advocacy that we see. Looking ahead, we got a lot going on this year. We're going to be working on 7 bends up in Shenandoah County, Sunset Park, keep working on that rail trail, advocacy, Bikes for Neighbors, all the stuff. My slides want me to just finish up here. And of course, more community events. We're always looking for volunteers, always looking for financial support, and always need people to stand up and advocate and say, hey, I think this could be better. What if we tried this? So we're looking for more pathways this year for folks to do that. And I think most importantly, we're definitely building more than trails. We are building these bridges and connections between people and to place. So on that note, I'll end with my last slide, which is a literal bridge that we built in the National Forest. So we literally build bridges and figuratively. But I really appreciate y'all listening. I'd love to just open up and see if you all have any questions or anything to ask us.
Hey, thanks for the presentation. Is Bikes for Neighbors, is that something that we could volunteer for to wrench on bikes, or is that just pretty much a one-man show?
No, actually, I have a I have a friend. He was gonna build me a little. He was gonna build me a little like rolling workbench in here so I could accommodate two people in the shop. And I would love to have some volunteers who came over to help. And I'm trying to kind of get set up for that because when I was self-employed, I just worked by myself. I never thought about creating, space in here for two people. And that's definitely coming. My buddy who was going to build the workbench, his father-in-law's in the hospital, so the workbench got put on the back burner, but that's coming. So give me your contact information and get me on the list. I'd love to have you guys come hang out in the shop and put on tires or take test
Sure.
drives, take
Or
pictures of
if you-
bikes and write down the serial number, right?
If you have outdoor space, we could bring your own bike stand. We can
Do you
throw
have
that
a bike
up.
stand?
Yeah, yeah, we can
Nice.
throw that up somewhere.
The weather isn't going to be very good for that next week, but the weather will get better soon.
That could be a really fun event. In the spring, we could like push a like closet clean out, like donate your bike, and then have like a wrenching party in the spring to turn over some bikes and people are ready to get rolling again.
That would be super fun.
That would be really fun.
Well, we have a
General-
need. We have a need for that in Waynesboro with a collection of bikes there.
Yes.
That's very true.
We also need more space. One of the challenges that I happen to have space, which is convenient for the coalition, that this space sort of got adopted by the coalition, but it would be really nice to have a big warehouse space somewhere, so there's got to be some
Or
basement. We were thinking about
even a little warehouse.
yeah, we were thinking about the basement of the library today because someone who's connected to the library was talking about the basement. And I just thought, well, maybe the library is a organization that's all about community benefit. There'd be good collaboration between us and the library, right?
Mm.
I know someone who's on the board. I'll talk to them.
So, Michelle and Micah, you've been to the Western Slope?
We actually live in McGaheysville. We're
Where
in
we
Massanutten.
live in Massanutten, so
Cool.
yeah, and I did do the ladies ride one time, but then I took on a new job that the hours just overlapped with it. It was great, and I really wanted to do more of it and planned to do the dig days. We had all these plans to be more active and involved, but with my hours and just couldn't get back to it. But yeah, we live here in Massanutten. Absolutely love the Western Slope.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, I will say we're definitely planning to do a fall joyride again. And that would be so fun to have you there. I really would like to do a spring joyride where we go to the National Forest and like super low key, just have a few group rides at different levels. Maybe you can get some shuttles going. If people want to camp out at Stokesville afterwards, they can do that. But after doing the fall joyrides, so many other women were like, I've never even been to the National Forest. And we have such a gem of trails out there. I don't know if you've made it over to the National Forest yet. Have you? Okay.
No,
Cool.
not
See, like such
for-
a great opportunity.
Not
It
for
would be really
biking.
cool.
That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what we're
just keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Great. Mm-mm.
Thomas, how you doing?
Well, I'm good. I guess the one thing that with the federal funding freezes, how and where do you see the coalition being impacted besides obviously the money not flowing, but where in the valley we as the coalition can try to supplement some of that?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we don't know yet the impact on, like, for example, our Seven Bends grant. I'm sure, I think if anything, it'll slow it down. I think that we're certainly in a wait and see period. You know, it is a bummer that like the city of, so one of our kind of models we think about for transportation advocacy is Harrisonburg is several steps ahead of most of the other communities in the valley. So thinking about how we can model that and then take that to the other cities and towns. And some of the things that Harrisonburg has been moving on may be more impacted by that. They had some federal funding to redo their bike ped plan, do a safe routes to school plan, things like that. So we had already been thinking about funding our own kind of bike ped planning process in Harrisonburg that would be a little bit more community oriented. So that might be one of the opportunities, right? Like we can plug in and do a planning process much more than we can build a mile of greenway, right? So we build trails in the national forest because we can build, you know, a mile of trail costs anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 of dirt trail. A mile of greenway costs $1 million. So a mile of protected bike lane in downtown Harrisburg is going to cost $14 million. But it's all relative. Most people don't realize that a stoplight, a signalized intersection, costs $1 million. So everything's expensive.
And then the other thing is, besides riding bikes, I love the trail run, and I know Amanda does too, and you too, Kyle. Are there more events in the future not on two wheels, more focused on getting together? Like Amanda, I knew you guys did like the Wednesday ladies run at the Western Slope, but is there something for like going to the National Forest and doing a nice trail run?
I can speak to that. So I had, this is so funny, Thomas. It must be like the 10th snow that we've had that makes people like start to think about spring plans. Because I've had 3 people just today text me and be like, so are you going to bring back the women's run on Wednesday? And I'm like, so you want to help me lead it? So it looks like there's excitement around it. Since you're bringing this up, I don't know, maybe like you're kind of planting the seed for me right now, as like everyone else did today. I definitely create events by need and enthusiasm. So if you feel like this is something where people be interested in, let's explore the conversation of what that could look like. I found that it's hard for it to like lead weekly runs and take the ownership of it every week because I can't be at everything. But if I can share that ownership with like other people in the community, then it builds its momentum. So let's talk about like what a group run could look like, or it could be like a monthly thing too. Like getting people to run out in the national forest. Thomas and I ran into each other at the Narrowback parking lot by the Wolf Trail just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The last snow day. Yeah, he followed my tracks. Lucky guy. After I broke them in.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
But yeah,
so I
let's definitely
appreciate
talk
that.
about that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
should have worn my yak. But I would love to talk about that with you
One of
more.
our goals for this year is to do more in the national forest, right? I mean, Mastodon is this incredible resource. It's so easy to get there, and you know, you have cell phone service, and it is great. But we would like to help break down that barrier for folks of going to the forest, because you know it feels a lot different driving out to the national forest by yourself and parking along a forest road with not great signage and maybe not. Yeah, it's a different vibe.
I'm happy
Michelle,
to help,
Mikey.
Amanda.
Okay.
What did you say, Thomas?
I'm happy to help or talk further,
Oh, okay.
because I know there's plenty
All
of
right.
our mutual friends that would be down to help every now and then.
I think so too. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message about it.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions? You all mentioned that you had been up in Pennsylvania before.
Yeah, we're from Pennsylvania, and then we had lived in Arizona for several years.
Where in Arizona?
Flagstaff. It's like 30, 45 minutes north of Sedona.
I lived in Tucson for 3 years, so
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's great riding there. We miss it. Sedona riding is amazing, and Flag. But it's great riding here too. So
Cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. Do y'all do any, do you ride on the road at all or just on dirt?
Pretty much just dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're mountain bikers and skiers.
Awesome.
You've been having a good year then?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of snow.
Cool. Well, would love for you all to come out and join us at anything coming up. We have a lot of great opportunities and a lot of things actually lined up on the Western Slope between volunteer trail training, chainsaw training. We're going to be doing Wednesday night trail works out there, April and May. We have another big dig day on the calendar. We'll do another one in the fall. And this plan we're going to launch is I think it's going to be really exciting for a lot more trail. And eventually it might even connect around into the resort. So you might be able to ride from your house.
Yeah,
That,
that'd
that
be
would be
amazing.
amazing because there's a lot of forest here in between. We've been trying to connect it but there's no way currently without going through somebody's yard.
Yeah, there's it'd be a while before we got all the way around, but I think that even if you got partway there, I know there's a lot of old road beds and things that people. I know folks used to ride over to Spotswood High School on old road beds from Massanutten.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think our goal long term would be to have another trailhead next to the high school, and then maybe at Rockingham Park as well.
Very cool.
So, and then connections into the bike park. Go ahead.
Did you say dig days are going to start up again in
April?
Okay.
Yep. Wednesdays in April and May.
Okay. And then it'll go to Thursdays or
It's just going to stay Wednesdays.
stay Wednesdays? Okay.
Yeah, it's
And
going to be
then
Wednesdays this year.
We're gonna do like a big dig day in May, and then we'll do another one in the fall. Those are like the ones where we like take a Saturday and we cook up food and lunch, and it's a bigger thing where we get like at least 50 people out there doing a couple big projects.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll share this with you since you're all here. We're talking about Massanutten. I'll share this one. This is kind of a concept map.
And Michelle, while he's getting that started, the women's rides should be starting up soon after daylight savings time, in case it ever works with your schedule. I think they're gonna do the 5:30 start again.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I'd like to try to make some more of those. I had a really good time.
So there's two greens, right? The green. Oh, we're struggling here. Sorry, y'all. One more time. Okay, it's coming up. Can you see it? All right.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, so the lighter green or whatever, the green around the top, that's all Massanutten property, right? You can see where it comes down. And so the dotted lines are the Western Slope existing trails, right? You can see the bike park. And then the black arrows and the red arrows are future connecting trails. So trails within the resort and then up into the bike park and around the sides. So this is we're going to do a ton within the existing system as well. So lots of refining and new trails within the system, but this is the additional 2,000 acres extra, 15 to 20 miles of trail in here. And it will be pretty amazing, especially as you get under the peak up in that rock field there with the views. It's really going to make that place an even bigger, better destination, I think. And this whole part will feel much more remote. And this whole part with the reds and the black arrows is not zoned for development. So it will probably stay undeveloped for a long time, whereas the existing Western Slope was supposed to be developed. It is zoned for them to build condos and things. So someday they will develop that.
Oh no.
But it'll be a while, a long time. And our hope is to get as many people using it as possible and make it as important of a community resource as possible, so that when they do build, it will be compatible with the trails. So anyhow, thought I'd share that to you since you all live over there and have been up to the Western Slope a lot. It's an exciting vision for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. I didn't realize this was all Massanutten owned.
Yep, they bought up a lot of property, but notably they have very little property that actually touches roads. That's part of the access piece, right? And so down here at number 5, Gerundo Camp, that's an old RV campground that they bought years ago. It's been closed for a while, but that could potentially be a trailhead in the future if they were to redevelop it. Anything else, Thomas? Well, thank you all. It's great to see you. Great to meet you. Yeah, let us know how. Actually, we've been talking to Thomas about how some ways he wants to be involved. But if you have questions or anything you want to do, let us know. One thing we want to do better of this year is having some more targeted email lists about specific things, right? So more regular Western Slope updates once a month. Thomas, maybe some National Forest updates. Definitely there's plenty of like Harrisonburg specific advocacy stuff, but then probably a list for like Stanton, Waynesboro type things as well. But there's a lot going on in the valley. It's an exciting time for trails.
Yeah, thanks guys for coming, spending the evening with us.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, stay tuned for a Bikes for Neighbors open house. And if you go to bikesforneighbors.org, you can actually fill out the volunteer sheet or just email any of us.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody.
when the
See you,
weather
Thomas.
Bye, Thomas.
gets better, we'll have some fun outside.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the ideas.
See y'all.
See ya.
All right, bye guys.
You know.